Good morning, students. Welcome back to you all after the periodic test second. Students, today I will teach you the chapter number 6 of your English reader book, and the topic is This is Jodi's Fawn. Students, in this chapter, Jodi's father has been bitten by a snake, and after that he immediately kills a dog and uses its liver and heart to draw out the poison. Jodi wants to bring the baby deer, bring the fawn at his home, and he wants to bring that fawn. He wants to nourish that fawn. So what happened? Just see the story. Open your book at page number 87. Now see, Jodi allowed his thoughts to drift back to the fawn. Means Jodi thought about the fawn. He could not keep it out of his mind. Means the scene of that fawn, it did not come out of his mind. He could not keep the fawn out of his mind. He had held it in his dream, in his arms. He slipped from the table and went to his father's bedside. In his dream, he had held the fawn in his arms, and he slipped from the table and went to his father's bedside. Penny lay at rest. Penny, his father, was taking rest. His eyes were open and clear. His father's eyes were open and clear, but the pupils were still dark and dilated. But his pupils means the circular black area in the center of the eye, it was still dark and enlarged. Jodi asked his father how he was feeling. His father replied that just fine, sir. Old age has gone thieving elsewhere, but was not it a close shave? Jodi's father replied that old death, it has gone deceiving him, and he asked if it had not a narrow escape. Jodi agreed. Then his father said, I am proud of you, boy, the way you kept your head and did what was needed. Jodi's father said that he was proud of him because the way he stayed calm in a difficult situation and he did what was needed. Pa, yes sir. Pa, do you recollect the dog and the fawn? Jodi asked his father if he recollected, if he remembered the dog, means the female deer, and the fawn, the baby deer. I can never forget the poor dog saved me, that certain. His father replied that he could never forget that fawn because the poor dog saved him, saved his life, and that was certain. But the fawn may be out there, yet it might be hungry and very scared. Jodi said that the fawn might be out there, and it might be hungry and it might be frightened. I suppose so. Pa, I am a big boy now and do not need to drink milk. Why don't I go and see if I can find the fawn? Jodi told his father that now he was a big boy and he did not need to drink milk. So he should go and he should find the fawn and he should bring the fawn at his home and bring it here and raise it when he lay quiet, staring at the sea. When Jodi said that he should go there and he should bring the fawn at his home, his father was laying silently. He did not speak, he was staring towards the ceiling. Boy, you have got me empty. He only said that, my dear boy, you have brought me in a situation where I could not say no. I cannot say no. Why? It won't take much to raise it up. It will soon start eating leaves and acorns. Jodi said that it would not take much to nourish that fawn. because it will immediately start eating leaves and small brown nuts. You are smarter than boys of your age. Jodi's father said that you are smarter. Jodi's father said that he was smarter than the boys of his age. We took its mother and it was not to blame. He also said that we killed the mother of the fawn and it was not to blame. Surely it seems ungrateful to leave it to starve, son. I can't say no to you. I never thought I had lived. I would live to see another day. His father said that it would be very unthankful, ungrateful to leave that fawn without food and drink. And he said that he could not say no, because he said that he never thought that he would live to see the another day. Can I ride back with Melville and see if I can find it? Then Jodi asked that he could ride back with Melville and if he could and see if he could find it. Tell your mom I said you can go. His father said that you should take permission to your mother and I have allowed you. He sidled back to the table and sat down. His mother was pouring coffee for everyone. He walked back quietly and he sat down near the table and his mother was pouring coffee for everyone. At that time, he said, "Mom, Pa says I can go bring back the fawn." She held the coffee pot in mid-air. He said to his mother, he told his mother that father told me to go and bring back the fawn. At that time, his mother held the coffee pot in the mid-air. "What fawn?" she asked. "What fawn? Which fawn?" "The fawn belonging to the dog we killed. We used the dog liver to draw out the poison and shape part." His mother asked him which fawn he was talking. Then Jodi replied that the fawn belonging to the dog we had killed and we had used the dog's liver to draw out the poison and save her father. She gasped. She opened his mouth in surprise. "Well, for pity's sake, Pa says it would be ungrateful to leave him to starve." Doc Wilson said, "That's right, ma'am. Nothing in the world comes quite free. The boy's right and his daddy's right." Jodi said that Pa was saying that it would be ungrateful to leave that fawn to starve, means without food and drink. Dr. Wilson also said that that's right, ma'am. Nothing in this world comes quite free. The boy is right and his father is also right. Melville, he can ride back with me. I will help him find him. Melville also said that he could ride back. Jodi could ride back with him and he would help him in finding the fawn. She set down the pot helplessly and after that she put the pot helplessly. "Well, if you will give it your milk, we have got nothing else to feed it." His mother said that if Jodi would provide his milk, then he will bring the fawn. Melville said, "Come on, boy, we have got to get riding." Ma Baxter asked anxiously, "You will not be gone there?" When he was leaving, at that time his mother asked that he should not. His mother said that he should not be long outside there. Jodi said, "I will be back before dinner for sure." Jodi assured that he would come back before dinner. Melville mounted his horse and put Jodi up behind him. Melville and Jodi, both of them, seated themselves on the horse and they left the place. They left their house. They went to search the fawn. He said to Melville, "Do you think the fawn's still there? Will you help me find him?" Jodi asked Melville if he thought the fawn was still there and asked if he would help him in finding the fawn. "We will find him if he is alive. How you know it is a he?" Melville said that he would help him in finding the fawn and he asked a question that how he knew that he was a male fawn. The spots were all in line. Jody replied that the spots that were all in a line on a dog fawn passes, the spots are every which way. He said that my father has told me that on a dog fawn the spots are not in a line, they are every which way, but on a male fawn the spots were all in a line. Okay students, now the first part is over. Now see the second part. Jody gave himself over to thoughts of the fawn. They passed the abandoned clearing. Jody started thinking about the fawn, and after that they passed the given clearing, abandoned clearing. He said, cut to the north, Melville. It was up here that Pa got bitten by the snake and killed the dog, and I saw the fawn. He said to lead the horse, to move the horse towards north, and he said that this was a place where Pa had got bitten by the snake, and we had killed the dog, and I saw the fawn here. Suddenly Jody was unwilling to have Melville with him. Suddenly Jody thought not to take, he did not want to take Melville with him. He thought if the fawn was dead or could not be found, then he could not have his disappointment to be seen. He did not want to show his disappointment if he did not find the fawn or if the fawn was dead. And if the fawn was there, the meeting would be so lovely and so sacred that he could not endure to share it. And if he gets the fawn, if he will be able to get the fawn, then that meeting would be so lovely and so sacred that he did not want to share. He did not want to share that meeting. So he did not want to take Melville with him. He said, it's not for now, but the stuff is very thick for a horse. I can make it on foot. Then Jody said that now the place is not far from here, and the stuff means the bush, the small trees are very thick for a horse, so he could move on foot. He could walk on foot. But I am afraid to leave you, boy. Suppose you got lost or got bitten by a snake too. Melville said that, but he was afraid to leave him alone. I'll take care. It might take me a long time to find the fawn. If he has wandered, leave me off right here. Jody said that he would take care, and it might take him a long time to find the fawn if he has wandered anywhere. So leave him off right there. Alright, but you take it easy now. You know north here and east here. Then Melville asked about the direction. There's and there. That tall pine makes the bearing. So long, Melville, I am obliged. Then he pointed towards a pine tree, towards a tall pine tree, and he told that it will provide you the directions. It will show you the direction. He waited for the sound of the hoofs to end, then cut to the right. Jody waited for the sound of the hoofs of the horse, and after that he turned towards right. The scrub was still. The shrubs, the bushes, the small trees were also there. Only his own crackling of twigs sounded across the silence. Only when he was breaking the twigs, that sound can be heard there. He wondered for an instant if he had mistaken his direction. He wondered for a moment that if he would mistaken his direction, then what he would do at that time. Then a buzzard rose in front of him. Buzzard means a large bird-like vulture. It rose in front of him and it flapped into the air. He came into the clearing under the oaks. Jody came into the clearing under an oak tree. Buzzard sat in a circle around the carcass of the doe. There was the dead body of that female deer, and all the buzzards sat there. All the buzzards sat there in a circle around that dead body of the female deer. They turned their heads on their long, scrawny necks and hissed at him. All the buzzards, they turned their heads on the long and thin necks and hissed at him. He threw his ball at them and they flew into an adjacent tree. Zodi threw his ball at buzzards and they flew into the nearby tree. The sand saw large cat prints, but the big cats felt fresh and they had left the door to the carrion birds. The sand showed the large footprints of the lions, cat prints, lions. But he thought that the big cats killed fresh flesh, so they had left the door for the carrion birds, for the loathsome birds. He parted the grass at the place where he had seen the fawn. After that, he removed the grass at the place where he had seen the baby deer fawn. It did not seem possible that it was only yesterday. It did not seem possible that it was only yesterday. The fawn was not there. He circled the clearing. He moved around the clearing. There was no sound, no sign, but he could not find any sound of the fawn. He could neither find a sound nor any sign of that fawn, that baby deer. The buzzards clapped their wings. The buzzards were making sounds from their wings. They were impatient to return to their business. Means the buzzards, the vultures, they were restless. They were impatient to return to take the flesh of that dead dog. He returned to the spot where the fawn had emerged and drooped on all fours, studying the sands for the small footprints. Zodi returned to the spot where the fawn had emerged, where he had seen the fawn, and drooped on all fours. He bent on his leg and hands, and after that he studied the sand for if there was any small hoofprints. The night's rain had washed away all tracks except those of cats and buzzards. The night rain, it had disappeared all the tracks except the footprints of the lions and the vultures. Dear students, now the second part is also completed. Tomorrow I will teach you the remaining part, third part of this chapter. That's all for today. Write the word meaning of this chapter and revise this chapter. Okay? So that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.